Hi everybody, I'll try not to bore you too much. Basically, I'm trying to start a talk show. I've had a lot of emails over the last year and I appreciate everybody that does follow me, keeps in touch, and appreciate anybody with any information. People know how to contact me. But let me quickly tell me what's been going on in the past year, because everybody's asked. I've had a couple of health scares this year, not too serious, hopefully, touch wood. One's still ongoing. I damaged my leg at work, so I ain't able to get out much. I'm still getting out and about as much as I can on investigations. I've only had 4 this year. 3 happened a while back over the years, and 1 more recent, which I'm looking into at the moment. But about the show, I'm using some gear called Zoom. I suppose everybody's heard of it, and I thought it was just basically simple to use. Kept cutting out on me, so I do apologise for all the technical issues that we've had, me and Alison, because she's my first one I've interviewed. Fantastic lady. At the end of the video it does cut out, and even though it kept saying it was recording, so I do apologise for that. But anybody who would like to come on my show, I'd really appreciate getting in touch. I can't show you what I'll give Alison, but when she receives it, she'll get. But everybody will get something to say that they've been on my show, and appreciate the time and effort that you've made to appear on my show. So if anybody's interested, please get in touch. And like I said, any information you have on cryptids or anything, you know to get in touch with me. I don't care how small the information is. Please get in touch. Anyway, enjoy the show, and I'm really sorry for the technical issues. I'm not very technical minded, so if anybody out there that could help me out in that type of sense, please get in touch. Anyway, I'm sorry to bore you. Thank you very much. Enjoy the show. Goodbye. Hello, Alison. Thank you and welcome to my show. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate you being here. You're my first one. Everybody obviously knows who I am, Colin Keelty. You're Alison Buttle. For those people who don't know, can you give a bit of a bio to everybody that don't know you and where you're from and how you got into this, please, Alison?
Hello,
Hello.
I'm Alison Buttle. Some people know me from, a few people know me from Codes of the Unknown and Paul Sinclair's Truth Road.
Yeah.
I'm mostly in chat, asking questions and chatting to everybody else. I first came into lots of groups during lockdown.
Is that the first time you ever got into it, Alison, or was you into this type of stuff before that?
It was only because, well, I'll tell you how it happened. I was on Facebook and I saw a YouTube from he's called Steve and he's an American, and he does YouTube videos and lots of people send him emails about Bigfoot, and he gets lots. No, he's not American. Sorry, he lives in Canada,
Right.
and he gets lots of emails about Bigfoot. I thought, oh, I'll watch a few of these. So I sat there watching that, and then I thought, oh, I'm going to go on Facebook and look through, see if there's any in England, Bigfoot in England.
Yeah.
So it came up with Deborah Atwell's. So I joined hers, and then I joined a few others, and I sat there all day listening to Bigfoot stories.
As you do.
Yeah, and reading Bigfoot stories. So then I went, I saw poles, true-proof.
Hmm.
So I thought, right, I'll join in the line there. So I sat there and I said, oh, how do you say? And I thought, oh, I'll just ask a few questions here, have a chat to everybody else. And that's how I got into uh, joining different groups. But I was listening to an interview. Before that, I was listening to an interview. It was with Deborah Atwell
Yeah.
and Andy Coates.
Hmm.
And it was a few years ago. And she was interviewing him, and he was talking about the predator effect
Right.
in the trees.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, yeah, I've seen that. I've seen
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And but at the time when you see that, you think, is my eyes going funny? And
How much have I
I'm
had
glad
to
somebody
drink?
else. I'm glad somebody else has seen that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So then, uh, yeah, I've seen that. And then when you sit listening to other people's interviews, you realise that other people have had the same experiences as you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've had a few experiences, but not as much as some people, because when I was little, I used to have vivid, I used to have vivid dreams and nightmares. And the biggest dreams I always remember is UFOs, dreaming about UFOs.
Isn't that strange? Because I mean, I
Uh,
did, and I know a lot of other researchers had the similar thing when they was young. Isn't that strange?
yeah. How
Well,
did
go
we
on.
know? How did I know about UFOs at
That's
4 and 5
great.
and 6 year old?
Yeah.
And it was always the same dream when I was little.
Right.
Because we lived in a cul-de-sac at the bottom of a cul-de-sac, and there were about 7 oval UFOs all coming up the street in I wouldn't say they were in a formation, they were in a jagged formation coming up the street, and it was the same dream all the time.
Wow.
And that went for a couple of years. And then I had one dream, what it was the same formation, but it was old-fashioned aeroplanes. You know those double-winged
Yeah.
aeroplanes? What,
Vaguely.
well, they wooden, I think. Yeah. To me, they were wooden, you know what I mean? They look wooden, so little. But they were same formation. And I had that one. And then as I got older, I had, I'm talking about my dream. As I got older, the sky, I had started having the same dream was, um, the sky was blues, nice blue and pink, and it was sort of a night sky, but it had bits of pink in it, and there was
Okay.
lots of different UFOs, all different shapes and sizes in the sky.
Right.
Yeah, and I had,
So this
uh,
reoccurred for years, like, oh,
yeah, for years.
I mean, eh?
Uh, I had until about 12 or 13,
Right.
because as I got older, because I used to have nightmares when I was younger, and my mum said I remember waking up thinking somebody was there or something was there.
Yeah, I had
I
similar nightmares.
remember
Yeah.
it was something outside the window.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, if
I
you
can
know what I
relate to
mean.
it. I can really relate to that.
Yeah, yeah. And I can remember once waking up, I think, I about 5 year old, and the covers were back, and I wore a nightie, and my body was straight, but I couldn't move my body.
Wow.
It was just straight, but I couldn't move my body at all, and I could feel something there, and I was crying because I knew something was there, but I don't know what.
Wow. That's it's like third encounter, isn't it? Abductions.
Yeah,
That's weird, isn't it? Is that? Have you
yeah,
ever had any marks on your body and that? I know we're coming away from the bio thing about where you live. Would like to know a bit more about you. But have you
yeah.
had any more? Did you have any marks on your body or anything like that, Alison, after these dreams? Or
Well, I had, there was one dream I had, and I went to it was called Church of England in Maltby near Rotherham, and
right?
it were a small school. There were only about 43 pupils in it, and I had a, you always had a best friend at school, didn't you,
Right.
when you were little?
Yeah.
So about 6 or 7, and this dream, I can remember vividly having this dream, and this dream, I still remember it now. It was my friend Jennifer, she sadly passed away, and she says to me, "This has fell out of you." And I said, "What?" She says, "It looks like a bone." And it was like, I can't remember exactly, but it was only about that big.
Was it a bone or was it metal? Do you know
It
what it
was
was made
white.
of?
I
Wow.
don't know.
Okay.
I remember it was white and it was about this big. And she says, "It's fell out of you. You need to put it back in through your belly button." Yeah. And I tried to put this thing back in through my belly
Oh,
button.
come on.
Yeah, I know. In my
Oh,
dream.
no.
I remember also my mum saying to me, I took you to the doctor's once because you had this weird looking spot on your belly. And this, and I've got a scar just above my belly button. It's about this big. I mean, it's fading now.
About an
Perfectly
inch.
round. No idea.
It's weird. I remember reading, well, actually, I saw some pictures from, I can't remember where it was now, somewhere in America, but these people, this guy goes around, I can't think of his name now. I can see the picture in my head of his face, but he goes around collecting all these objects from these abductees. And a lot of them are like little Tic Tacs, the mints that you eat. He's getting these
Oh,
little Tic Tacs out of people's bodies that have been abducted. It sounds very
wow.
familiar.
Wow.
It's a shame you're not still got that bone or whatever it was.
Well, whatever it were, I'll try putting it back in my belly button.
Oh,
I'm
got a
only
middle
six,
finger.
Cole.
Yeah.
I'm only six. But it
Uh,
was a vivid dream. So I have no idea. It's crazy,
man,
isn't
that's
it?
weird, that.
Yeah, crazy.
Have you had any more since, becoming adult, or have they slowly disappeared?
They
All these
slowly
dreams?
disappeared as I've got older. I've had
Yeah.
they call it cloaking effect, don't they? Like it
Yeah.
just out
Oh,
here
gone. Yeah.
in a tree near me, and it was oval.
Right.
I, it was about 8 foot wide. It wasn't that far away from the fence. I'd say, I don't know. I can't measure in unless I got my tape measure out. And tell you, but it were oval, and I was looking because I thought, is somebody having a fire? Because they eat
Yeah.
the heat of it.
hmm
You know when you get heat of a fire,
Yeah,
that's what
you
it
see
looks
these.
like as
Yeah.
well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But no, nobody was having a fire. I just dismissed it after that.
Wow.
Yeah, but I remember there were a certain tree where we lived years ago, and I used to see it in there, and I thought the eyes were going funny.
Do
You
you
know
see?
what I mean? But I can't remember the shape.
Did you see this thing quite regularly, or was it just now and again, or just the odd
Well, we
one?
lived there about 8 years,
Yeah.
and I saw it about 4 or 5 times
Wow.
in 8 years.
That's very interesting. Is that?
Yeah, yeah. But I can't remember. I kept looking at it, but couldn't make it out, and I thought my eyes were going funny. And it was only till I heard that interview, I
Yeah.
thought,
The cloaking.
yes, I've seen that.
I've never seen it. I've never even come across any witnesses in England. I'm sure there is. It always seems to be American based, all this cloaking stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
But I know there is cases in England. But yeah, it's amazing. Well, they call it the predator effect, don't they, as well now?
yeah, yeah. Well, like I say, they don't make these films for nothing. They don't
No,
though, do
no,
they?
that's true.
Because you seem to see these films and they're
Yeah,
all based on something.
based on something. You're right. Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's got some type of connection, if you noticed. Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
So,
for the people that don't really know, whereabouts do you live now?
I
Have you always
live,
lived there, Alison? Or
no, I moved here in 2018 and I
okay,
live at a place called Kimberworth Park and it's just, and I live right on the edge of Kimberworth Park. And it's sort of, I don't know if anybody knows it, it's called Wentworth Woodhouse Estate.
I've heard of
This,
that.
yeah, yeah, it's a beautiful, massive mansion.
Right.
And they film
And something happened at that mansion.
Downtown Abbey, I think they're filming it.
Ah, that was it. That's why it rings a bell. Okay.
Yeah, and there's different, what do we call them? Not monuments or megaliths, whatever. Like there's one near us called Kettle's Colin, and then there's some past. There's one. It's called Hoover Stand. Now I need to go and look up there because there's apparently witches have been haunted down,
Right.
been known down there for
What is
years.
it? A woodland.
At the back of me is a woodland. I don't know if you can see it. Hang on. See it there?
I can see a tree. You got the start of it.
Oh, gee. um, that is ancient woodland at Mackinnon. I didn't know that till I got a leaflet. You know how you have a monthly leaflet to about your local area, your
Yeah,
local
I get
town
several posted through my letterbox here.
You are?
I get several posted through my letterboxes here. I get
Yeah.
more junk mail than I do fan mail, I think. So yeah, go on, sorry.
It's okay. Anyway, oh, I should have actually, I've kept the leaflet and I should have fetched it down so I could have read it yet. But um, it's funny how you wonder about these things and eventually everything comes together, isn't it, when you're talking
Yeah.
about these things and you ask people questions and you can't get an answer and suddenly an answer comes out of nowhere.
Mm.
So in this leaflet, uh, there's a man in, I forgot his name, he does local walks and he'd done a walk, a page, and it's got the map on it,
Yeah.
a Wentworth walk.
Okay.
And just out, and it said it's ancient woodland in, and there was a 12th century campsite on it,
Okay.
and it shows it, it showed exactly where it was. So that is not far from our back garden.
Yeah, I bet there's some sightings around there then of orbs
Yeah,
and things like that.
and then the other day I posted a question in, because I've been asking quite a few questions, because when I first moved on it, my daughter's boyfriend at that time said, there's a monk circling that wood. And I said, how do you know that? It's just because people have seen the monk.
What is
I
it?
thought, oh,
Is it stones or is it what is the circle actually like? Or is it just
right, I'll tell you.
well,
I
come on.
posted the question in,
Okay.
and, pardon, I'll put it. So, I posted the question, and it's called, the woods at Mackinnon is called Scowell's Coppice, also known as Scowell's Wood, and it's an area of ancient woodland located to the northeast of Kimberworth in Rotherham Metropolitan Council. It was once part of the Kimberworth Deer Park and contains a number of archaeological sites. The most significant is which is thought to be an Iron Age hill fort.
Right.
known as Caesar's Camp or Castle Homes. So when I asked, is this a monk circle?
Yeah.
They said, no, it's called Caesar's Camp.
Right.
And it said this scheduled ancient monument was partially excavated in the 1990s. It consists of an outer bank, 2 to 5 meters high and 15 meters wide. That may have been topped by a wooden palisade.
Well, that sounds Roman. Is that Roman then? It must be Roman.
I don't know, and it said which is paralleled by a 15-meter wide ditch. There is no obvious entrance to the side, so I do really need to go and look at that.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. We get some photos and a
Yeah,
special note
yeah,
as well. I bet that's interesting on there.
yeah. That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
But my daughter-in-law did tell me that somebody did see the monks in the wood in a circle. But
Right.
that's what I wanted to know about.
Have you put the question out there? Does anybody know?
Well, that's why I put the question out.
So you're hoping to get some
They
witnesses?
tell me about the monk
The,
circle, but they tell me about this ancient thing. Anyway, the weirdest thing is that when I kept asking about this monk circle, um, somebody had started work with my other art, and he'd been there a few months, and he came to our house, we were sat in our bar having a drink. I said, what's your interest then? He said, oh, me, I used to be a football hooligan. I said, oh, can I record you while you're doing that? I went, no. And so he asked, well, why? And he goes, the funny thing is, he goes, well, he says, I remember my mum telling me that, and he used to live at Greensboro, which is the next village from ours. Greensboro is an old village.
okay.
And he said, I used to live opposite the school. I'll tell you another story about that in a
Yeah,
minute.
go on.
Opposite the school, which now stands red brick houses. And he said, my mum left me in my car. He said, I'm about 3-year-old, left me in my car. He said, I was naked. And she went off for a minute. And she came back and I was fully clothed. And he says, no one said, my clothes were at the other side of the room. And she said to me, how did you get dressed? And he said, that lady with the hood dressed me.
That sounds a bit
And I thought,
poltergeisty, doesn't it, really? That really sounds...
yeah.
Wow.
And he said, I remember my grandmother saying to me, oh, there used to be a monastery around here. But I cannot find a map with a monastery on it.
Have you been to the local archives or anything like that? Have you tried
No.
anything like that,
But
Alison?
I did ask about the monastery, but nobody answered me about that monastery. So where did the monks come into it?
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, if this person had a hood, you'd think it. He said the hooded person dressed me.
So weird, isn't it? Why would they
Yeah,
dress a child? It's weird. But I know,
yeah,
I mean, I'm into the paranormal slightly, but not as much as I am other things. But yeah,
yeah.
you do read of weird things, but wow, that is weird. Have you
Yeah.
heard anything more of any more stories like this?
Well, I did. Somebody told me I asked a question in Rome. There's a village called Romarsh, and that's about a mile up the road.
Okay.
Because somebody at work, one of my work colleagues, he told me when he was about 14, and it was in the 19. I'm going to let me get this piece of paper. So I wrote it down. It was he thought it was in the early 1980s. And he were about 14-year-old, and he were coming back. Right, he lived in Romarsh on, hang on, I'll tell you what road, if anybody knows the area. He lived in Romarsh on, yeah, Gary. He lived at Middle Avenue, Romarsh. And he was about 13 to 14-year-old, and he said it was the early 80s, but he thinks it could have been earlier. And he was walking down the street to go home, and he said it was summer, and it was about dusk time,
Okay.
and the sky was clear. He looked up, and there was this massive UFO.
Wow.
And he said he says, honest to God, I'm not kidding, it must have been about 5 miles wide. He says, because you had to go.
Well, you can't miss that, can you?
No.
So there must
He
have
says,
been a lot of
even
witnesses
though
on
it
there.
was high up, even though it was really high up, you still had to go like that to look at it from end to end. I said, can you remember what it looked like? He could show me a picture. He says it was like an oblong. And he said it was like, what was it? You know, a disco floor effect.
Yeah.
Squared. He said it was like that on the bottom. And he could remember it. And I says, can you remember anybody else looking at it? He went, no. It's
Even
not just...
you'd have thought there'd been multiple witnesses, wouldn't you, really?
Yeah, because years ago I remember somebody telling me a story. Canclo, which is just past Rotherham.
Yeah.
This UFO went over and it was that big, it blacked Canclo out with the shadow. Yeah.
But surely these things can be traced. I mean, that big, there must be a lot of witnesses. There's got to be.
Yeah. Well, he was talking to the other day, he says, yeah, Alison, I remembered you talking to me about that. And he said, my dad and my sister did see it. He says, because as I was walking out down the street, they came out of the door and had a look at it because there were several people coming out to look at it. So I posed that to look at this massive USO. I mean, that must have been the right size.
Or be, and that size, you can't
Yeah.
miss it. Surely, yeah. So I'm surprising how much you don't see in it in the sky. Half of us just walk about in a daze anyway.
Yeah. Nobody looks really in the sky, do they? They don't really, do they?
No.
I do. I'll trip over
that.
So anyway, I posted the question in about this UFO.
Okay.
And somebody came back to me and there were several people who said they'd seen not that UFO, but they'd seen other UFOs. But the weirdest thing is this, let me just put his name, Craig Lee, they called him.
We've got about 5 minutes, Alison. Then we're going to have to take
a we'll have to, that work with Callum on it.
It's not even an hour, but I've just had a warning on here saying that I've got 10 minutes left of my record time.
Right.
So I don't know if we can stop and start again, and we can edit it in. Sorry about this, folks, but this is the way it's going at the moment.
Yeah. So anyway,
yeah,
this person called Craig Lee, who is from Rotherham, messaged me, and he said, "Hey up, Alison, a friend of myself saw a UFO on Hague Road in the late 80s. It hovered over the school field with no noise, then shot off like a bullet with no noise. The next day, it was in the newspapers that a UFO had flown over West Bar police station in Sheffield." Right. And it's that messenger here because there's some idiots on that side, which they do, you know. Yeah, I saw when we were going up over. And then he said, I thanked him, you know, for his message, and he said, "You're welcome." And then he said to me, "A friend of mine also witnessed a UFO in the same area. It was that near that he hid behind a tree. He had gone for a walk with a friend's son. He said he could see movement behind windows in the crack." Wow. He said he was terrified. The young man that he had taken for a walk contacted a radio station about his experience years later and rang Mick to verify his experience. Mick declined and said he couldn't remember for fear of ridicule.
Yeah, we get that a lot. I mean, I do, as you know. And
So
you,
I said, wow, where was this? And he said, at the old school, back of the old school. So that confirmed to me that there was a school.
cool, yeah.
Weird, isn't it?
Well, you got
As,
there in the end with that one, didn't you? Yeah. Right, I'm going to take a short break. I'm going to cut this off, and we'll
all
see if we
right.
start that again.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to stop this now. Right. Right, welcome back, Alison. Sorry about that.
Hello.
A few technical hitches, but we'll get in there slowly.
Well, carry on.
Sorry, anyway,
Yeah,
go on, Alison. Carry on where you was.
yeah. So that confirmed to me that there was a school. There was a school down there. And then, uh, there is something about this area,
Hmm.
uh, including UFOs.
You think it could be a hotspot? Like, I mean, we have hotspots around here, and I'm sure that, I mean, there's hotspots all over the way around the world around England. So do you
Yeah,
think it
yeah.
could be another hotspot in the UK?
It could be. Because
It-
I'm not far from Sheffield either.
no,
I'm
I've
only
been to
about 10
Sheffield. I used
minutes
to go
car
there
drive.
quite a lot.
I
So,
am about 10 minutes away from Stocksbridge bypass.
yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Oh, right. That's all.
yeah.
All right.
Which is
Yeah, I used to go to Sheffield a lot with my work, but I don't go there now. But yeah, it's a nice place. Well, it seems a nice place. Um,
everywhere seems a nice place.
just when you're passing through them, doesn't it? Let's see
Yeah.
nice. Still, you actually live there, you think, oh my God. Anyway,
Right, so anyway, then he, uh, while they were talking to me, at the same time, we were watching something about UFOs.
hmm,
So I asked him, and he said that Mick didn't mention any time lapse. He's a
right.
very trustworthy individual and a very religious man.
You see, yeah, that's where this stops, doesn't it? That's where they get ridiculed
Yeah.
as well.
And he said he did believe in aliens. And he said he's quite open-minded. I believe in extraterrestrial life, death, and most things are supernatural.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, I'm gonna. And he said, so he asked me what experience have I had, and he says, funny enough, because I wondered what church he meant.
Okay.
So I was thinking, because I kept talking, this man's a very religious religious
Person.
person at this church. Anyway, and he said, funny enough, funny enough, I met a lady recently at a spiritualist church, and she said she was in touch with extra dimensional beings. And I must admit, I thought she was a bit potty, to be honest. She said she saw aliens and dragons in her mirror. It says alarm bang and
Um,
alarm bells rang, laugh out loud. Said she showed me some pictures she had captured. It said I was blown away. It showed creatures coming through her mirror, one of which was an alien head, sort of like an X-ray. You see, I've never seen anything like it. He said, and if she had photoshopped them, she could work as Steven Spielberg.
that is unbelievable.
He says she was stood at the side of the mirror.
Have we got any photos of this? Have we got any?
No, because I asked him, I said, wow. And
How old is this lady? You know,
he said she only visited church once.
how big is this?
And he's never seen that lady again. But he
Wow.
knows she had autism.
That's where a lot of these things seem to be picking up.
Yeah.
I found a bit of a pattern with autism and people with mental issues or illnesses. These
Yeah.
things seem to pick or single them out
Yeah.
more than Hello?
fly on me. Go away,
When you're on the
cheeky.
screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems to pick these people out.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I was talking to a nurse the other day. She's seen strange things. And some of the things she was telling me about, like black-haired people, and this, they all have the same. She was telling me there's more of this and more of that. I won't go into the facts because I'm still looking into this, but some of the facts she was actually telling me about different coloured people and different coloured hairs, blue eyes, green, what connections they have with different things, and they all seem to be the same. It's weird. It's like autism.
Yeah.
You're saying that everything seems to just focus onto them. I know the special. I met a young autism. Yeah, I've known a couple, but I
Yeah.
met this kid years ago, and I'll just tell everybody this is how good autism is. It's. I mean, I wish I was autistic, to be honest. But I give him
Oh,
a
they're
number. He says,
really clever.
"Tell me a number.
Really
Tell me a
clever.
number." He kept asking me for a number, so I said, "Well, number do you want? What, 3 numbers? No, make it as long as you want." And I think I made it about 12, 15 numbers long. I wrote it down as I was saying it. All right, I remember it. Next time I see you, I remember it. And I didn't see him for months. And I totally forgot all about it. And I shoved it in my wallet. The next time I saw him, he goes, "Oh, do you want that number?" I thought, "What about number?"
Yeah.
Then it clicked. I thought, got my wallet out. Go on then. Every number. And I couldn't even remember the
Wow.
first 2. I mean,
Wow.
they're absolutely amazing. How the brain
Yeah.
ticks over different compared to, well, with the call as normal. I don't think we are. But, you know,